it's looking like Eric Bieniemy may be the next Indianapolis Colts head coach. Now, if you ask me, I'm just coming from a total objective standpoint, not saying he's going to be. There's no reports that says he will going to be. It's just there's two guys that the Colts seemingly like they're waiting for. Maybe it's Bieniemy, maybe it's Steichen. It seems like they like Steichen. Maybe that's why they're having this third round of interviews. Maybe they're trying to just fill in the time and make it look like they're going through the candidates because it seemed like every round came after a round of the playoffs. So maybe the Colts are just waiting to see about Steichen. Not gonna happen. Obviously, you're gonna have to wait till after the Super Bowl now. This is why it's probably taken so long. So a little bit about Bienemy's background is started in Colorado, went to UCLA, went back to Colorado, went to Minnesota, back to Colorado, and then he went to the Chiefs in 2013. So if you enjoy NFL content, Colts content, all that kind of stuff, this is a place for you, man. We're doing a bunch of off-season stuff. The draft is coming up, free agency. So make sure you like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you do not miss any of that. This is a place for you. So, since starting with the Chiefs, Bieniemy has been pretty interesting candidate. He has been a guy that has been interviewed quite a bit over the last couple of years. Now, there's probably some red flags. There's probably a lot of, big concern that it's the reason why no one has hired him yet. Being in a system with Andy Reid, having Patrick Mahomes there, that's when he really seemed to get more and more traction for being a head coach. Now, he was offered a head coaching job back at Colorado before he came to Kansas City to ultimately take the running backs coach, and then he was promoted to the offensive coordinator a few years ago. So, the offense has looked amazing, right? But how much has Bieniemy really contributed? How much is he really doing? I bet he's doing a lot. Obviously he's offensive coordinator, but how much of an impact is he really making when Andy Reid? We know Andy Reid's a genius. We know Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And yeah, the schemes are good. The schemes are nice. They're pretty damn good. They're not really, a lot of people look at the Chiefs offense and the way it's not. The way it's schemed up is, Patrick Mahomes likes to look underneath and then, he likes to take shots often, but this scheme really is you look underneath and you try to find underneath, you keep thinking dunking, and then when you have the big shot over the middle with Kelsey or Juju or, in the past with Tyreek, you go for it. And they have had the guys to do that. They have MVS this year. Juju's even a decent deep threat. Sky Moore is an awesome deep threat. I'm really excited to see him. I think he has a lot of potential. I like Sky Moore. So, all in all, he has had a ton of talent to work with. And as I've already mentioned, he's been in a ton of interviews and he just hasn't been hired. So that's kind of like a one red flag there. And you really wonder why he hasn't been hired. Is, our team scared to hire him because he's been under Andy Reid and with Patrick Mahomes? That's fair because, when coordinators came from Bill Belichick over in New England, it almost never worked out. Never almost worked out. So I wonder if that has a little bit of an impact on it. It could not. But the thing that I'm scared about is that the Colts are just going to hire him because Chris Ballard has that connection. And Chris Ballard is one of those guys, if he knows him, if it's a connection, Chris Ballard's going to heavily lean towards that guy. And I don't like that. I think you have to go out and get out of your comfort zone, not be so conservative. Go be aggressive. I'm not saying be aggressive like the Broncos and trade as much as you did for Sean Payton. I think that's ridiculous. Trading first round pick for a head coach, I think that's wild. I would never do that. The Broncos did, but ask me, I don't think it's worth trading for a head coach, especially a first round pick. That's absurd in my opinion. Yeah, Sean Payton is amazing, but you could find amazing head coaches and not give up a first round pick. I don't know. I'm big against that, but I'm scared that Chris Ballard is going to lean towards him because of the connection. Maybe Shane Steichen, maybe they're just waiting on him as well. But I could see them waiting on Eric Bienemy and Shane Steichen. But I'm more worried about Eric Bieniemy because Ballard has that connection. And when Ballard has that connection, he usually leans that way. And it doesn't work out a lot of the times. It's being conservative. And, Irsay, the second part of that is I think Irsay will see how good Casey's offense has been, and Irsay might just say, yeah, let's do it. Because at the end of the day, Irsay has the final say. And, if it's not Bieniemy for him, it's probably Jeff Saturday. And would I be surprised if, at the end of all this, Jeff Saturday might be the guy? Because I feel like Irsay has the final say. We saw in the interview, the press conference with Chris Ballard. He's like, I like working for Jim Irsay. Love working for Jim. Yeah, we don't always agree. And he's like, and Chris Ballard says, I'm going to disagree with him. He's going to disagree with me. And, sometimes he'll say, let's go this way. So I feel like Jim Irsay, and he's definitely making some decisions. This is Jim Irsay's final say. Doesn't necessarily matter who Chris Ballard likes. Jim Irsay is going to have the final say. I do like Shane Steichen. He's very creative, and I learned yesterday that Nick Sirianni doesn't really call plays. He kind of just makes a scheme and all that. So I would like to see Steichen be that offensive guy that comes to Indy and hopefully coaches a young quarterback that we acquire in Stroud or Young, Levis. Maybe you trade back in Anthony Richardson. Very unlikely in my opinion, but it's possible that the Colts sign Eric Bieniemy just because Chris Ballard has that connection, and Jim Irsay might see the success of the Kansas City Chiefs offense and just the Chiefs in general and be like, yeah, I want that glory again. I want a part of that glory, so maybe we could build our own off of that. And, Jim Irsay's a billionaire. No one's going to tell him otherwise. When you're a billionaire, you're always going to think you're right. You know what I mean? So, seeming like Jeff Saturday, I have that gut feeling it's going to be Jeff. But, I'm just saying Bieniemy to the Colts is possible, really possible because of the connection with Chris Ballard and him. And at first, it proves it's going to happen. Even though I feel like Irsay is bigger on Jeff Saturday, I feel like Jim Irsay is going to disagree. Maybe Chris Ballard went to Irsay and said, I want this guy. Maybe it's a guy that they already interviewed. And Chris Ballard said, I want this guy. We should get this guy. And Jim Irsay could have just said, no. That's simple. Jim Irsay is the boss. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He's the owner. And sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be bad. So, don't forget, Matt Nagy is from that Chiefs system. Yeah, he was more of the era of coaching Alex Smith, and and the offense was solid, but it was predictable at times, and it got old at times, and it just didn't make it through the playoffs. We saw that with Chicago. Matt Nagy wasn't a great head coach at all. He was just an offensive coordinator that helped within an amazing system that Andy Reid put in place. So it just goes to show Matt Nagy under Andy Reid, teams took him quick. Chicago interviewed him. Yeah, he's going to be awesome to get Trubisky going. Just didn't happen. Just because he's coming from a great system doesn't mean he's going to be a great head coach. And, you look at other guys like Brian Callahan mainly. I love Callahan, and it's easy to love him. It's easy to fall in love with him and see what he did over in Cincinnati. But if you ask me, how hard is it to create an offense with when you have probably three amazing wide receivers? One is out of this world. T. Higgins is an amazing go up and get it kind of guy. Tyler Boyd is one of the best slot receivers in the league. One of the best, I didn't say the best. That's Cooper Kupp. He's considered slot. I'm not getting into that big debate, but Tyler Boyd is one of the best slot receivers in the league. One of the most underrated wide receivers in the entire NFL is Tyler Boyd. He's only talked about when he has that big game, which fair enough. It's the NFL. You're only going to be talked about when you have a huge game. But Tyler Boyd needs to be talked about more as a solid wide receiver. And, you look at Joe Burrow. Does it matter who's going to be coaching Joe Burrow? No. Joe Burrow is going to be great either way. The offensive line isn't great, but, I don't think it's hard for Joe Burrow to... I'm saying this as, I'm sitting here talking about it. I'm sitting here at home while they're paying, they're paid millions. They're They've studied their whole lives, they play their whole lives, but it's easy to see that you need to try and get quick passes out in a quick scheme because you need to scheme around that horrible offensive line, which they've done. But yeah, Joe Burrow and amazing wide receivers. When you have amazing wide receivers that can get open quick, and Boyd, Chase, Higgins could get open. He's more of a jump ball guy, but you also had a pretty good tight end in Hayden Hurst. Offensive line is horrible. You had pretty damn good running back as well. I think Joe Mixon is slightly overrated. You guys might hate that I'm saying that, but I think he's slightly overrated. It's maybe not. I'm gonna take that back because that O-line is horrible. Yet Mixon sometimes finds ways to be a very good running back. It's just Callahan, man. He's coached a bunch of these great quarterbacks. And Peyton Manning has talked very highly of him, and that might be a thing that Irsay likes. He loves having his those former guys like that. Speaking of Jeff Saturday, taking advice from them, taking them. But if they wanted Callahan, if Irsay wanted him, and Ballard wanted him, he would have been the head coach by now. So I don't think Callahan is going to be the guy. I think it's Steichen or Bieniemy. I think it's going to be Steichen probably. That's seeming more and more likely. Steichen, Bieniemy, Jeff Saturday. I can see one of those guys. I know reports came out the other day about what's his name, Wink Martindale. I like Wink Martindale. His systems would be a little scary in the AFC against Mahomes, Burrow. He likes to blitz a lot, get these creative blitzes, but great quarterbacks like Burrow, Lawrence, Mahomes, you got to be careful with blitzing. They could dice you up. So it's not really a great scheme in the playoffs. Not going to help you get far in the playoffs, but there's a lot to talk about yet in this offseason. I just kind of hit on a little bit of each of the top prospects back. So if you enjoy this video, no, it's not time to end it. I don't know what I'm doing, but Eric Bieniemy to the Colts, man, I'm okay. I'd rather not. I'd rather keep him Casey or have him go somewhere else. I'd rather Steichen. I'd take him over Jeff Saturday probably. I'd rather Steichen, Callahan. One of those guys over him. But you guys, because he's been interviewed so many times, and it's big red flag. Like no one has taken him. Maybe he has an attitude issue. He did have issues back when he played. It's like 1999. I remember he had some legal issues. He got in a fight with a teammate, I think. And maybe that's 20 years later, so would it really matter? I don't think so. He was a running backs coach for quite a while. He was the OC. He was running backs coach for the Chiefs. He coached Matt Charles, had an amazing time there. He coached Adrian Peterson as running back coach back in Colorado and UCLA. He was running back coach, so he knows how to work with his running backs. He'd be fun to bring as but he's not going to take a running back coach. Maybe he would be a nice offensive coordinator. I'd like to maybe give him a shot there, but how much is he really contributing over in KC when you have Mahomes and Reed as well? A lot to think about. It's a lot to go back and forth between them. You guys let me know what you think. That's going to be it for this video. Would I take Eric Bieniemy? No. You guys let me know what you think. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you do not miss any future videos. This is JDW SportsTalkShow. Signing off.